Good morning, it's Monday, January 27th, and I'm going to try something a little bit new. I'm going to do kind of like a weekly upload where I post about what I'm working on during the week. So let me go ahead and get started. I want to get my goals and what my week every week looks like. So I want to put my goals out there and what I'm working on, and I might not hit all my goals, but that's okay. So I've got a number of things that I want to work on. I carved this guy on Saturday night, and I want to print him in a couple different ways this week. So I'm going to, and I want to print him first on this stack of, what are these? These are like 6" by 6" just wood squares. So I want to print him on that and then paint the backgrounds of those similar in the style of this. I also want to print a couple of those on paper. These are prints that I did this previous week as well. So I want to print a couple of those on paper as well. So I got to cut some paper for those. And then the last thing that I want to get done this week is I've got all of these pieces that I'm not going to finish all of them in the ones like the ones I just showed you before, but I want to get like one of each design finished in that style. And then I've got this also really big, weird looking ones like that. And this is 3 pieces of wood cut from the same piece of wood so they can go back together, and I can treat each wood differently. This one's going to have a carving on it. This one's just going to be spray painted, and this one's going to be a print with a spray painted background. So I've got a couple of those running. Here's another one. Here's another one. And then this owl right here. You can see it goes together like that. Goes with these 2 pieces. So I've got 4 of those going, one of them fairly large. And then I've got one finished like a proof, I guess, of concept. Here's my print storage area. So I've got one of them finished, so they kind of look like this, just a different way. This is a print on wood. You can see that it's completely flat. This is, spray paint masked off, and then this is a carving, and hopefully you can see that it has like texture to it and stuff. So this is like a normal carving, and then I glued them all together into one single piece. I just spent the last hour or so cutting out these pieces of wood out of birch to print upon, and now I am adding it's a watered down acrylic wash, I'm going to call it. It's just really cheap acrylic paint. All I want this to do is to make the wood appear white. And I don't want it on there too thick because then it'll mess with the print. I need the surface to be flat, so I added a lot of water to this and just thinned it out a lot. And I'm just brushing it on very lightly to the wood that I cut out. This will take about an hour or so to dry. It probably doesn't even take that long, but I'm going to give it about an hour. I got a couple other things to do. I like to plan my day around drying times sometimes. So I'm doing this first thing in the morning so that when I come back to these in the afternoon, they're ready to go. I don't want to do this 10 minutes before I want to print them. I want to do it ahead of time just so I'm not wasting any time in my day forcing them to be ready. Now I've got a couple t-shirts and one order that needs to hit the mail that's not a t-shirt. So I'm gonna pack those up and get them ready to go. And then take a drive over to the post office and put them in the mail for the people that ordered these shirts. Alright, so now I'm getting ready to print this little sloth. I've got 8 sheets of paper to print him on, and I've got 16 of these 6 by 6 pieces of birch to print them on as well. So I'm getting ready to do that. So I've got my 8 by 10 sheet, my 8 by 10 template. So once I ink this up, I will be able to line up the block on this 8x10 template, and then put a sheet of paper and put the paper, line it up with the corners of it. And this doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm just gonna, line it up and put it on. I'm gonna make sure actually that I put the torn edges downwards. It's not inked up, so I don't have to worry about it moving. And then run it through the press. So I'm gonna print these off right now. All right, so I'm gonna use my small brayer, some etching ink. Just get my my ink knife. Let's get a little bit of ink out. I don't think I'm gonna need that much today. That's probably it. A little bit of dryer in so it dries quickly. Mix in the dryer and roll out my ink slab. And let's get this little sloth inked for the first time. Now I look on my little note to myself here, and I am printing on, I'm doing 1/2" birch on Reeves BFK. So I've got 1/2" birch on Reeves BFK here. So I need to set my press to 8/E. And what that means is I've got these little micrometers. So I need to raise it up to E. You see how here there's letters? Right there, letters. And then there's numbers here. So it's 8/E. So, well, that's 8/E. Now that my block is inked up and the press is set to the proper setting, this is a small block, so it should print fairly easily. I line up my my block on the template, put the paper down, and like I said, I'm just doing one color on these, so I'm not super worried about the placement. I just want to get it in a relative center, and then I slowly curl my fingers in, run it through the press. Now to peel up the print to see if we got a good image. I've got all the paper ones printed, and now I'm moving to printing on these little 6x6 birch squares. So these are a little bit easier to print on than the paper is, really. I place it on there, run it through, slowly, comes out the other side, but I got a little bit more work to do on these afterwards because I want to paint the negative space on these to give more focus on the sloth itself. I've got all the sloths finished up on the wood, and now I got to figure out the next thing I'm going to do. But they look good. I gotta wait for them to dry, and then I'll tape them off and paint the backgrounds. I always like looking at them all together. One more thing I decided I want to do. I am deciding to print just a couple red t-shirts of this little sloth right there. So I'm just working on those, and then I will clean up my ink and move on to something new. So now that I'm done with my printing for today, I can edition these prints that I pulled last week. I pulled a full edition. I pulled a full edition of these unicorn prints, and then I pulled one gorilla print riding a car just to test it, and I'm gonna pull the full edition of those later. So right now this will be the first print of that edition. And so the title for this one is going to be The Unicorn. So I'm gonna sign as close to the image as I can, but in a straight line. So I'm gonna sign, this is gonna be my bottom line. I'm just gonna sign underneath this hoof, and I'm gonna write the title on this on the left, The Unicorn. I know I've got 30 of these prints. Generally you want 10% of your edition size to be artist proofs. So I heard that rule somewhere, I don't remember where, but I think it's a nice one to live by. So I'm going to live by that. So I know that I have 30 sheets of paper, and they're all, really good. I think they're all going to meet the edition. So I'm going to call it 25, an edition of 25 with 5 artist proofs. So I'm going to say this is one of 25 number in the center, and then I'm going to sign it on the right. Good morning. It's now Tuesday. I got a lot done yesterday. I printed some shirts and I printed things on wood, and I stayed up a little late last night working on one piece, and that's going to be my main goal for the day. Let me show you what I was working on. So basically all I did last night was the planning for this piece. And you're going to see how it's going to evolve, hopefully, throughout the day today. I drew out this jungle pattern just freehand on there last night. I first drew it in pencil. You can see all the scribbled lines underneath. Then I, reinforced it with some Sharpie. And then I'm going to put like a little shelf. I think it's going to go right here. A little shelf to set this banana peel on, and I'm going to carve this as well. What you guys fighting about? What are you guys doing? All right. Just finished up carving the leafy pattern for this piece. Now all I got left to do is to paint it, and then paint the banana, and then build the little shelf to put the banana on. And then this piece will be well on its way. And then the ink needs to dry a day or two before it's ready on Friday, so I need to paint and ink it ASAP so it has enough drying time. Now that it's fully inked, I'll give it a couple days to dry and put it all together. It's now about 11:30 on Tuesday night, and I'm working on masking off the positive shapes for this little 6x6 sloth prints that I did. They're dry, ready to go. And I'm just working on putting some masking tape on the surface of those so I can cut away and have the positive of the sloth masked out. This one has the tape all over it. This one does not. So I'm working on doing this for all 16 of them. So when I spray paint the backgrounds of these, only the background receives the color and the foreground stays nice and black and white. Kind of like this one, but obviously a different animal. So I'm working on that tonight. So I just put the tape down and make sure it doesn't overlap too much. And it takes a while to do that. I've got one pre-made here, and then I just kind of go around and I cut around with an X-Acto knife where I want the paint to go. And I just and peel up the tape. And you can see how that's going to work all around the whole image. It's Wednesday morning now. I've got all of my little sloths ready to spray paint, so I'm going to go outside and spray paint these up. First thing I want to do is spray paint the edges, so I'm going to get a nice, I'm going to use this color, this magenta color, to spray the edges real nice, and then I'm going to work on the surface. While the edges of the sloths dry, I'm going to work on the big gorilla piece I've got going too. I'm going to keep that one I think I'm going to pull from the leaf colors I used. I'm going to go for this turquoise. And I may add some like a light gray and white towards the top. We'll see how it looks. I finished off all the little sloth valentine prints. So I've got those over here sitting and just waiting for me to, put them away. I have signed and numbered them on the back and put little rubber stoppers and a wire on the back so it can hang on the wall easily. And then I'm also working on finalizing this piece. I've got the banana being clamped and glued down to this corner, then I'll add a screw to the back of that, and then I've got this piece all mocked up ready to attach once that banana is dry. Just kidding, the glue was dry and I decided to go ahead and attach and glue this all together tonight so I can make sure it's all good to go tomorrow. So I've got a couple clamps on here. I glued the edges in here. And I got a couple clamps on there to let it dry, and it should be dry now. So I'm going to unclamp it, make sure it's dry, and then I am going to reinforce the back with some wood and some screws. So this is what the back of the piece looks like currently, and I've got 2 1/4-inch pieces of wood, so it's all glued along the seams, so it's holding it together by itself right now. But I'm just gonna put 2 screws here, 2 screws here, and 2 screws over here on each piece, so there's no chance of it falling apart in transport or when it's hanging, just to reinforce it. So that's all I'm gonna do. It's Thursday now. Today might be a relatively boring day. I'm kind of just packaging stuff up to take to a gallery, and then I'll drop all that off, all the stuff I've been working on. I got to photograph some stuff, but I don't know how much actual creating is going to happen today. Oh my goodness. So it is Thursday night, and for whatever reason today, my allergies started to pick up. I don't know what's in the air or what's going on, but I usually have one bad day a year. Hopefully today's that day. I feel like I'm going to have 2 this year. Today and whatever spring actually comes. So it's about 50, 60 degrees here in Atlanta today after being real cold. So something must have started to bloom and something was in the air today. So I didn't really get a whole lot done. I went down to the I packaged up all the work for the gallery, went down there, hung the wall up, and then came home and kind of just couldn't. My eyes wouldn't open. They still can't quite open. They're still kind of pink and red. So I didn't get a whole lot done today, but it is about 10:32 right now, and I'm just gonna sit down and I'm gonna draw a little bit. In times when I don't really feel that well or that motivated, I just kind of sit down and get some ideas on paper so I can work on those when I am feeling well enough to do something. So that's what I'm gonna do tonight. Just gonna sit and draw and kind of gather my thoughts for my next burst of energy, so to say. So that's what I'm gonna do. Oh, and right now would be a good time to show you what the wall looked like at the gallery. So there's the wall. Yeah, it's just a wall. So that's some of my work on a wall in a gallery. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Good morning. It is Friday morning now, and I am sitting down in my basement once again, and I can see now. My eyes are open. The allergies are mostly gone. Still kind of dealing with that, but that knocked me off my feet yesterday. But last night while I was squinting through my teary eyes, I did sit here and I drew a couple octopuses for a collaborative t-shirt idea that I'm working on with an Instagram page. So let me show you what that is. I was having trouble coming up with a really good concept last night because I've drawn a lot of octopuses. This is an octopus fan page. So the guy, I asked what they possibly would be looking for, and he said that he's looking for an octopus that's more splayed out looking. So I started sketching this, and then they also talk about community, so I did a rough draft of an octopus in a little kelp forest home with a starfish friend and a little hello sign to talk about community. And then I did what would be a cool octopus bringing down a ship, and then I got frustrated, so I just started drawing this, and I like this little character, so I might do something with him later. But and that's just another iteration of that character, where I think I finally landed is something like this, where the octopus is all splayed out and his tentacles are far-reaching. I'm probably going to go somewhere in this realm. And these are all real rough sketches. I need to polish off these ideas. to bring them any closer to a real design. But that is what I was working on last night. So today I'm going to keep it real easy on myself since I'm feeling like 70% today. And I'm going to carve out these little blocks that are part of these smaller pieces. And I might do a little bit of printing today too. All right, so I think I'm gonna end the video with one. I just spray painted a piece of wood and I'm gonna peel up the tape from that. I think I'm gonna end the video here and start editing it because I'm waiting on an email back before I start printing, and my head's still clogged with pollen a little bit, so I'm not quite feeling up to carving and the amount of concentration that takes. So I'm gonna end the video here. So thanks very much for watching. Let me know if you enjoyed this in the comments, and I'll keep doing this in the future. Thanks. Bye.